Hey, everyone. Welcome to Moving to Georgia. I am Sarah Maslowski, your North Metro Atlanta real estate agent, helping you with all things moving to Georgia. And it has been a minute since we have been together. So thank you for joining us on the live stream today. Of course, we are answering all of your questions that you may have about the Georgia real estate market, moving to Georgia, selling your house, what your market's like in your area, anything that you want to know. We're here to have a discussion about that today. And we're going to be talking about what is coming to the area. What new developments should you be looking out for? What can you expect? What are some economic news that you might need to know if you're considering making a move to the area? But first and foremost, the purpose of the live stream here is to answer your questions. So if you have any questions about making a move or what's going on here in the North Metro Atlanta area, go ahead and drop those comments or drop the questions rather into the comments. So I would love to know where you are joining us from. So say hello in the comments and let me know. The past couple of weeks have been extremely busy helping a lot of you who have found me on YouTube, reached out to make the move here to Georgia. And so even though it is early March, the spring market is here. So what does that mean for you as a potential buyer or someone that's considering making a move here to the area? Well, depends on where you're looking. So if you are looking in the Alpharetta, Swanee, Cumming area, it is stiff competition. And so every single buyer that we have had over the past couple of weeks who we have been trying to help find a home in that area, it's been multiple offer situations with, dare I say it, a little bit closer to what we experienced in the pandemic. Those are very, very highly sought after areas, and inventory is so incredibly low. I'm going to cough here. And so for our buyers that we've had, the offers that we have submitted, we have been beaten out by like $50,000 over asking, waiving contingencies. And oh, it pains me to say this, but this is very reminiscent of what was happening in 2021 and 2022. So that does not feel good. And it doesn't feel good as a real estate agent trying to help you buy a house because it can be very frustrating. Behind the scenes, those conversations look like, reaching out to the real estate agent, trying to get as much information as possible from them behind the scenes as to what the other offers look like. Crazily enough, one of the offers that we lost out to you, the offer was waiving all contingencies. They were buying this house as is, no due diligence, no inspection, no appraisal, no financing. And, surprisingly or luckily enough, the buyers that I was working with, they were able to make a cash offer on this house, but they were not willing to waive a due diligence period. And so the due diligence period is when you have the opportunity to have the home inspected. Now, in a very competitive situation, well, you should know that during the due diligence period here in Georgia, you as a buyer can terminate for any reason. So you can get cold feet. It can be because of inspection related issues, or it could not be because of inspection related issues. So in this instance, whenever you have a multiple offer situation, you want to make that uh, as short as possible because you can back out for any reason without penalty. So we offered a 24-hour due diligence period. I have great inspectors that can get me in the very next day. Called up my inspector, said, hey, we're making this offer with a very, very short due diligence. I need you to get in there tomorrow. Can you do this? Yes, we can do it. So we made that offer. We told the seller that we were only going to be doing this for informational purposes only. What does that mean? That means that we weren't going to ask for repairs, but we wanted to know, hey, are we potentially getting ourselves into a situation where we are buying a house with major problems? That still gives us an out if there's major problems, but it tells the seller if it's just minor issues, we're not coming to you and asking for you to repair or give a credit for those things. We still lost to someone that was just completely waiving everything. And that is, we had a lot of that happening in 2021 which was just insane. And it's not something that I advise, but obviously at the end of the day, my job as a real estate agent is to guide you through this process, give you all the tools that we have available when it comes to making in competitive situations, making those offers. But it's up to you to decide what you want to do. So things like only having a 24-hour due diligence period so that we can have that inspection, those are great ways that we can still be very competitive. And in this situation for this house, it was not enough. Hey, Alan, thank you for joining us here locally from Swanee. So I appreciate your support of the channel. I know that you've been a long time watcher and viewer of the channel. So if you're joining us on the live stream, welcome. Let me know where you're joining us from. Go ahead and drop any comments or questions that you may have about making a move or the real estate market. The goal here is to answer those questions for you and help give you some guidance and have a great conversation about what's going on. So what working with buyers over the past couple of weeks has really taught me or shown me about the Georgia real estate market, specifically here in the North Metro Atlanta area, is spring has sprung. And unfortunately, we just do not have enough inventory on the market to prevent these crazy multiple offer situations. So you can, unfortunately expect multiple offer situations. We really see it over in Alpharetta, Cumming, Johns Creek area, Swanee, and for first-time home buyers, unfortunately. Inventory with homes under 400,000 are incredibly low, and good ones are going to go super fast. And that leads me to another conversation. I was recently helping some great local first-time home buyers, and they were a referral from a previous client that I had helped before. And, their parents are wanting to guide them through their first home purchase transaction, which is very respectable, honorable, loving, right? Everything that you would want your parents to do. And yet their expectations of what these first time home buyers should be able to afford in terms of getting a house that's has a newer roof or newer HVAC system, newer hot water heater, that was their expectation that we were going to be able to find something like that in their price point. And the reality of the situation is that you may be able to find a first time home buyer house or a resale house with maybe one or two of those combinations. But to get all three of those in one house is incredibly difficult in this price point without it going multiple offers way over asking. And I was kind of telling my husband, I was like, dang, these parents are coming in and giving great advice to these buyers, but they're just not in tune with the reality of what the real estate market is like and what the inventory is out there. You can go find these things in a new construction townhouse, and you can find new construction under 400,000 in a neighborhood where you have very little yard space. But if you were like these buyers who their priority was having more space, they wanted a bigger yard, they wanted more room to do things, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to find like a perfectly move-in ready house that you're not going to have to do some maintenance on or some cosmetic updates to in the coming years. And unfortunately, it just doesn't exist unless you're willing to go very far out into rural Georgia to find that. So, parents are coming from a great place, and the kids were in line with what reality of the market was like, but not not the parents who are giving some great advice behind the scenes. But unfortunately, it's just not the market for it. And my advice to first time home buyers right now is that you need to get into a house. It's never going to become more affordable. It's not going to become better. And unfortunately, unless you are willing to move to a place where you have those more affordable opportunities. And so a lot of the clients that we help that reach out to us on the channel, you're moving here because it's more affordable than where it is where you live. Unfortunately, for some of our local folks, especially first-time home buyers, it's not affordable. So that's just kind of the reality of the situation that we have. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about the new things that are coming here in the North Metro Atlanta area that you need to know about. one of the things that I recently started talking about on my social media, so Instagram and TikTok, um, Gwinnett County is potentially getting a brand new city. And this was something that was very fast paced moving, kind of wasn't on my radar. And then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, what? This is moving very, very rapidly. So I'm going to share my screen. The new city that is proposed is called Mulberry. Now, there is a lot of neighborhoods and things in the North Gwinnett corner, northeast Gwinnett corner that has the term Mulberry in it. There's Mulberry Park, there's Mulberry Park neighborhood. There's lots of things with the word Mulberry in it. But the reason that this little pocket, and let me show you on a map, the reason that this pocket of Gwinnett County wants their own representation is because of all the growth and development that's happening there. And their argument is that there's not enough localized representation for Gwinnett County as a whole. And so they're like, hey, we want to be our own city. Um, dang it, I had, oh, here we go. No, shit. Oh, can't say shit. I just did though. Um, there was a better map that I had that kind of showed where this was in, but it's kind of like the upper corner of Gwinnett County where it meets Hall County and parts of Barrow County as well. And so, they're saying, why do we need to create a city? In 2 words, local control. They're sick of the jam-packed traffic, crowded schools, sprawling apartments, and are, just some of the concerns that they want to address by the new city. They feel like it's harming neighborhoods, and this growth can only be controlled, in their opinion, if it's overseen by locally elected city council members. So the great thing is that they're not proposing for any new taxes for this newly created city. They are planning on paying for it with business taxes the businesses are already paying taxes. They're just currently right now paying them to Gwinnett County. They would now go to the city of Mulberry, and they are going to cover all of this, kind of like being self-sufficient. So the unique thing is that this has passed the House, the Senate, and it has passed Governor Kemp's desk. And so the next step is that this heads to a vote to voters here in November, to vote on whether or not they want the city of Mulberry to be a thing. So that's very, very interesting to me. So this was proposed like in November of 2023, and it kind of got fast tracked to a new city. And normally these things takes years. Surprisingly, or not surprisingly, Gwinnett County is against the formation of this new city. They feel like this is going to negatively impact Gwinnett County because obviously they're losing some control of what they have. And so it'll be interesting to see if the residents, so only the residents in this pocket of this area in Gwinnett County are going to vote for it. So yes, Alan, this is a group of locally concerned citizens that actually run this website called cityofmulberrygeorgia.com. And they got a petition together, got local lawmakers behind, local representatives and senators behind this proposal. And that has kind of pushed its way through the legislator, and Governor Kemp signed off on it. So, now it's up for a vote to the actual citizens that it's going to affect. So it'll be very, very interesting. This would make, oh gosh, what did I say? It's going to be like the second most populated city in Gwinnett County behind Peachtree City, which I thought was Peachtree Corners, sorry, not Peachtree City, Peachtree Corners, which I thought was very, very interesting. So your kids, if you're in this area, if you're thinking about buying a house in this area, your kids would still go to Gwinnett County schools. It's not creating any new school system or anything like that. It's just giving the residents representation and direct access to councilmen and things like that would control that little area. So Lone One Trident says, I swear they are building to build. I'm not a resident, but it's whatever. Um, Let me tell you here, locally, a lot of residents are not happy with the amount of growth that is happening. And that's going to be a big theme of the conversation tonight. There's a ton of growth and development happening here. And for a lot of residents or new residents that are coming from out of state, um, y'all feel like that this is very normal and that this is still kind of small and you're not really much phased by this growth. You like it. You like the new construction developments that are happening. Me, as someone that grew up in small town South Georgia, um, we've been living here now in the Gainesville area for 9 years. Even in my short 9 years, because 9 years just flies by, right? There has been a ton of growth and development just in the little area that we live, and traffic has gotten a lot worse, but relatively, it's still really good compared to a lot of areas. So I, for one, love all the new restaurants and shopping centers and development taking place, and I love having all those options. Now, my husband, not so much. If he could move back to South Georgia and still have his company or his job, he would in a heartbeat. Actually, he would prefer to like be out in the woods. That is not for me. Where in Gwinnett will this new city be? What will be the neighboring cities? Let me give me just a second. I am going to pull up. I accidentally closed out of an article that showed exactly where. Here we go. Let me share a different screen tab with you. Thanks for bearing with me. Let's see here. I need a producer on the back end running this for me, right? Okay. Here we go. All right, so the orange area that you see here, this is the proposed city limit. So it's kind of like right in between Beaufort and Decula, underneath Brazelton and underneath Auburn. So it's this little tiny area. I wonder why they don't have this little pocket right here. That's interesting, right? I'll have to do some more research on that to see if I can figure out why they don't have this little tip here, because it would make sense. So sorry, I said that voters were going to decide in November. They're actually going to decide May 21st in the general primary if they want to form this new Metro Atlanta cities. And it would be the first municipality created in Gwinnett since Peachtree Corners Incorporation in 2012. So that was a new city that was formed in 2012 in Georgia. They are only going to offer 3 services, the minimum required for cities, which is stormwater runoff management, planning and zoning, and code enforcement. So they would still, leverage out policing, fire department, all those things would still be covered by Gwinnett County, paying service fees to Gwinnett County to run that. So this is very interesting. So yeah, so you live next door in Decula, and it'll be interesting if I'm going to say you should come check out these homes in the city of Mulberry. I'll have to add that to my areas that I cover, because obviously we currently cover that. But yeah, so I'm just curious if you're watching. Sorry, did the wrong thing here. Have you ever lived in a town that then became a new town? I'm just thinking, like, if you're living there and you currently have an address at Beaufort, and then all of a sudden you're going to live in the city of Mulberry, that would be very interesting to me. Let me know if you have had that happen to you, because yeah, I guess it only happens to a small amount of people. So yes, obviously lots of changes, lots of growth and development, tons of apartment complexes happening here. Another big thing that's happening in the area, especially kind of like in North Gwinnett, Hall County, which is Gainesville, Flowery Branch, tons of storage facilities being built. And not only storage facilities for personal belongings, so like where individuals go and rent this, but large logistics centers for companies, right? And so because 985 and 85, and because Hall County is right off of 985 and Gwinnett County, 85 runs right through it, these are big popular places for manufacturers and I guess businesses that need to store stuff are building these huge logistics storage centers where you have lots of trucks coming in and out. So lots of Amazon facilities going in. Here in South Hall, we have a UPS facility. So every day there's like tons of UPS trucks coming out. And that is something that feels like it's happening a lot and they're being proposed in a lot of places. And so right now it's a really hot topic of point of contention for a lot of local people who you have kind of like these residential areas where you had kind of like a quiet road or you had, a bunch of neighborhoods and then all of a sudden they're being proposed to build these big logistics centers. So that is something to keep in mind that we would want to, have all those facts and research to make sure that the area that you're buying in, if there's any proposed storage facilities or logistics centers that are planning to go in, because that's something that you would want to know. You would be upset with me, right? If we bought a house and then this is not something that you wanted to live in, and there were proposed or plans to build something. So there are many proposed places like that. They're having public hearings. Obviously, local people don't want that because it's a little bit of an eyesore. It doesn't look the best. But again, I don't know where you come from. This might be very normal, or you don't care about seeing this because the trade-offs are really great. So speaking of trucks and storage facilities, let's talk about there is a new inland port that has been in the works for many years that is really getting traction here in Gainesville, and that it's construction is happening and it's set to start opening up. And so, when I heard the term inland port, I was like, wait, what does that mean? And so basically it is trains the train tracks run along this port facility. So like a big, gosh, words are not my friends tonight. But like a big facility or a place where trucks can come and get the cargo containers off of the trains and then quickly get back on the interstate in a very central location where you're connected to lots of other interstates to quickly move and be a very hub of commerce transportation for goods and things. So this facility is being built just north of Gainesville in a town called Lula. Now, this is a town, mark my words. Let's come back and visit this in 5 years. Lula, North Hall County, North Gainesville is really experiencing a lot of growth of houses and retail development, grocery stores, restaurants, those sorts of things. A lot of it's being developed or being pushed by these big manufacturers that are building manufacturing facilities and this inland port. So one of the byproducts or direct results of this port is going to be a lot of trucks on the road. And this is something that's going to be very, very interesting to me. So they're saying that says by 2026, a barren 104-acre tract on Georgia 365 will become the bustling inland port terminal, also known as the Blue Ridge Connector, where semi-trucks will load and unload cargo on and off a 3,000-foot train running to and from Savannah's harbor via a 324-mile freight service rail line. So Savannah, in that harbor, they get a lot of car imports in that harbor, and it's a huge shipping port for the East Coast. And so overall, this is supposed to reduce the number of semi-truck traffic statewide across the roads. However, it's just going to concentrate them in this area. So you are going to have a huge concentration of 18-wheelers in North Hall traveling to and from the site. And that is also going to spur a lot of businesses in the area as well. So that is something to keep in mind. Trisha says, I'm familiar with Lula. My daughter's high school marching band performed every year in their Christmas parade. Okay, awesome. Yeah. So Lula is a tiny little town north of Georgia or north of Gainesville. And there's not a whole lot there, but it's growing. So that's something that you need to know. Okay, let's see here. Um, Alan asks, can Gwinnett taxes increase if they lose to the new city? So, no. The information that they're putting out there is that taxes on either side would not increase. Essentially, the money that Gwinnett County would charge the city of Mulberry for the services, essentially they offset each other. So yeah, there's a frequently asked question portion on that website, and that's one of the questions that's addressed. Um, yeah. And you're saying that don't we have a massive shortage in truck drivers yet we're growing demand for more drivers? I my 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 understanding of this is that it's supposed to reduce the amount of need for as many trucks because there's now a much more efficient way to get the goods from Savannah up here to North Georgia to make it easier to disperse throughout the rest of the United States. And so, in theory, I think that's supposed to cut out some routes and reduce the need. But I'm sure that there's still a huge demand um, for drivers. Aaron says, I'll be traveling to Gainesville for work and I'll be there 3 weeks starting Monday. Any stuff I need to make sure I do while I'm there? Oh, you are coming at a great time of year because the weather is starting to get really good here, y'all. So, it's like early spring where it's a little cool in the mornings, but then afternoon, you're like feeling that nice sunshine on your skin. Lake Lanier is right here in Gainesville. In between Gainesville and Cummings. So there's lots of great parks and places where you can just go take it in. Lots of great restaurants on Lake Lanier. My favorite is Pigtails. That is in Flowery Branch. It's right there on the water. They just opened up for the season, so you can go and enjoy a nice drink, great food. They have live music on the weekends. It's just a great place to soak up the sun, and they also have a huge shaded area. So it's an outdoor restaurant. So it's a great place to enjoy the outdoors. Downtown Gainesville, the square has become very, very great. So I have been so pleased with how much Gainesville has grown over the past couple of years. There's been a lot of great restaurants that have opened on the square. There's a really great, there's a couple of new ones that are supposed to be opening up here in the next couple of months that are going to have like rooftop bars and a new Mexican restaurant coming. We have a ton of Mexican restaurants, which I think we have the best Mexican restaurants everywhere. So my favorite thing to do is just eat tacos everywhere I go. So there's no shortage of that. It's not like we need another Mexican restaurant, but having a cool Mexican restaurant in the square will be great. And that one's going to have a rooftop bar. So lots of great stuff. I'm sure you'll have lots of opportunities to explore. If you're wanting something to do on the weekends, in Gainesville, there is a event space called Boot Barn, and they have a lot of concerts and live performers and things like that on the weekends. They also have a great bar and restaurant there as well. So in Gwinnett, a new Pam. In Gwinnett County, for about $400,000, would you recommend buying a townhouse or a single family home? Great question. And that is going to depend on where you want to be. So oftentimes I work with clients who say, we really want to be in Duluth or in Swanee. And you are going to have much better options under 400,000 looking at a townhouse. But I also have clients that say, we don't want a townhouse. And if you don't want a townhouse, you're open to anywhere in Gwinnett County, you're going to get more for your money in the Beaufort area, in Lawrenceville, than you are down in Swanee, Sugar Hill, Duluth. And the reason is just the closer you get into Atlanta, so the closer south you go, further south you go, houses are going to be more expensive, and or what you get for your money is going to go down. So while there may be many houses in the Decatur area, in Duluth, under 400,000, they're going to need a lot of work. So if your goal is to be around, the amenities and everything that Duluth has to offer, if you want to be closer to Atlanta, to cut down on a commute or something like that, that's going to be one of your trade-offs. But you are going to have more options if you open yourself up to townhomes for sure. Um, Lone One asks, are there any Greek restaurants? I need my euros. Um, so there is a Euro restaurant in Gainesville called Alpha Euro. So good. The owners are so nice, and it's a really great Greek spot. There's another Greek restaurant that is being built in Gainesville. Lots of great Greek and Mediterranean food in Alpharetta, and Swanee area has some great Greek restaurants. So there's always places that you can drive to kind of get any cuisine that you want. Um, don't laugh at me, but I tried a real ramen restaurant here recently in Buford, and I'm hooked. It was so good. So there is I just saw there's another new Michelin star ramen restaurant opening up at the Mall of Georgia. So I'm super excited to go try that one out. Because yeah, I think that's my new thing. But I think I discovered it at the wrong time of year, right? Because we're going into spring and summer. I think ramen's like more of a fall, winter meal. Would you say? I don't know. Elena, when is any MARTA station in Alpharetta or near Alpharetta? So I don't know of any plans that they have for expanding MARTA, unfortunately. So that is definitely one of the downsides for the Metro Atlanta area is just lack of public transportation. There's MARTA stations that kind of, I think the closest one on the kind of eastern side of Atlanta is in Duluth. There's one down in like Sandy Springs area. But yeah, that's just a very, very challenging part here of being in Metro Atlanta is not great. MARTA stations, you can go and park and obviously get on and get into Atlanta. So, one of those trade-offs. All right. Oh, what do I think of Roomies at Avalon? That is a great restaurant. So there's 2 locations in Atlanta. One is there in Avalon, and it's really great. So the great thing about Alpharetta is that they have tons of great restaurants. Also at Avalon is South City Kitchen. So good. That's also a local restaurant group that owns that restaurant. And yeah, that's good. And also what's really cool about Roomies, inside is very cool and outside. So they have a really great patio. And Avalon, for those of you that are joining or don't know, I reference it a lot in videos, but it's a great outdoor shopping center in Alpharetta. It's got a mix of mid to high end stores. There's also a Tesla store there, Apple, lots of great restaurants, and lots of stuff happening around that. Actually, while doing some research on some things that are coming to the area, there is a new steakhouse that's being opened up a little bit away from the Avalon. So it's not within walking distance. You'd have to drive to it, but it's called Eddie V's Steakhouse. And I've been to the one, they have locations across the US and just a handful of locations, but I've been to the one in Austin. And it's a really, really great kind of like high-end steak seafood restaurant. And so they're building one here in Alpharetta. No news on when that one's going to open, but I thought that was super interesting. The Truth says, I'm looking for a lakeside retirement home. Well, there is a couple of good options for you. If you're wanting something with lake views and that give you access to the lake, there is an active adult retirement community called Crestwind at Lake Lanier. It's in Gainesville. Fantastic community. Meeting some clients there tomorrow morning to show it to them. Side note, I cannot wait to be 55 and live in an active adult community. Every time I go into those, it's just, they seem so great. Like you've got like this built-in friend group, lots of clubs, lots of activities, lots of socializing, lots of people that kind of like what you like, hopefully, I guess. But yes, that one is directly on Lake Lanier. And so it gives you access to the lake and you can go kayaking. You can get a boat slip there. They've got indoor, outdoor pools. Fantastic. And then there's also another really great community in Gainesville called Cottages at Lake Lanier. And although it's not specifically an active adult community, it's small, so about 50 houses. They are mostly designed for retirees. So you're going to have master on main or kind of like ranch on a basement style houses. And that neighborhood gives you great lake views, and then you can also get a boat slip and you have access to the lake there. So um, lots of good options for you. And of course, I'd be happy to help you find the exact house that you're looking for. So if you're thinking about making a move to Georgia, let me know your questions. Um, Below this video, there's going to be some information on how to get in touch with me. It's never too early to reach out and kind of start that conversation. Just talked to some great people today that are moving from Miami, which this is like the third couple that we've talked to from Miami, like in the past 2 weeks. And so we get a lot of folks moving from Florida up here to Georgia, don't want to deal with hurricanes, weather, the heat, all those things, looking for a little bit more affordability. Um, where is that going? So, yeah, but they're not looking to move until next year. So it's never too early to go ahead and have that conversation so that we can connect you with a really great real estate agent where you live, helping you figure out your sale, all those kinds of things. So one of the things that we often deal with is helping clients kind of figure out the process of like, how in the heck do I move to a new state when I need to sell my house and I need the money from that house to help me buy the new house? And that's what I'm here for. So we strategize, we help get you with a really great agent. We work a plan, give you some different options on how we can help make that move a lot easier and kind of give you your options of what you can expect. I also work with a really great lender who offers a buy before you sell program. So that's also another option that we can discuss to see if that's something that you may be interested in. Essentially, they buy the new house for you, and then you just turn around and buy it right back for them. And in the process, you're selling your house. So that is a great way to kind of help make that transition. So, all right. Prospero, looking for a city with diversity in North Georgia, looking to purchase in December or early next year. Um, yeah. So one of the great things about Metro Atlanta is there's a lot of diversity. I just saw an article that Gwinnett County is the most diverse county in Georgia. So if you are looking for a lot of diversity, I would highly suggest, looking or concentrating your search in Gwinnett County. Depending upon your budget, Swanee, Beaufort, Duluth may be great options for you. We're also seeing Alpharetta and Cumming becoming very diverse as well. And so we have lots of great people moving from all over the country, all over the world, actually, to these places with all different types of ethnicities and cuisines in terms of restaurants and stores and things like that that they offer. So I think you'll be very happy and pleased with some of the things that you can get in these areas, and you'll have some options, and kind of depending upon exactly what you're looking for, we can give you some more suggestions of areas that you might want to consider to help make that narrowing down process a lot easier. And then obviously we want to help you find that great home. Am I familiar with the builder America's Home Place? What do you think of them? I have a lot in Tequila and I'm looking for a builder. I don't have very much knowledge of them at all. So the knowledge I do have is I get frustrated is that they advertise like houses for sale on Zillow, but they're really not for sale. You have to build them. And then they say in the fine print that you have to get your own lot. It makes it really hard because sometimes I have clients that will send me those and I'm like, that's not really a house that's for sale. And you have to go through a big process. I would compare the prices to them with someone locally. I would imagine that, it's kind of like it is a franchise, right? And so usually a franchise is going to have more fees tacked on than someone locally would because they have a higher overhead cost. So my gut is that they're probably more expensive than what you can have someone locally build it, but I could be wrong because I don't know. But that's just what I think. Trisha, the buy before you sell program only relates to homeowners, not renters. Yes, that is right. So, obviously, if you're renting and then moving into a purchase, that makes it really easy, right? But if you currently have a house that you need to sell in order to buy, oftentimes that can be a little bit tricky and a little bit more difficult to work through. And so, they have this program where you can do that. They do charge a fee for that. And, but sometimes when you think about the cost of temporary housing and the pain of having to move all your stuff into storage and all of those things, it kind of comes out in the end. And so just depends. So it is a good option, but yes, it's only for homeowners. When is the best time to reach out to you and your team for this December or early next year timeframe? Right now. The reason for that is that sometimes I often work with clients who new construction might be a good fit for you. And so some of the communities or neighborhoods that may be the best fit for you may be already building or have the option to start building your house now for a closing in December or January of next year. Some builders are like on a 10 to 12-month build time, depending upon neighborhoods. So that's one of the reasons why earlier is always better, just so that we have a good idea of a plan of what you're looking for and what is an option or not an option for you. The other reason that makes that so great of reaching out early, it just gives us more time to plan and fine tune exactly what you're looking for. And on the back end, it helps me come up with more options for you. So the sooner that I know what you're looking for, the more I can network with other agents, talk to potential sellers, and hopefully find some more off-market options for you, because that is also a great way to purchase a house or have more options, is trying to find something off market. So with having such limited inventory for resale homes, if I can identify a couple of neighborhoods that my clients really love, I can go out and find you some people that are thinking about selling, that maybe it may be the perfect match. So I love a good challenge, and I love the thrill of the hunt of trying to find the perfect house for my buyers. And so that oftentimes means mailing to a neighborhood and saying, hey, I have the perfect buyer that wants to be in your neighborhood. Your home might be a great fit. Have you considered selling? And so sometimes we can find the perfect match that way. So it's never too early to have that conversation. I say never too early. Occasionally I have some people that reach out to me like 3 or 5 years away, and that's really difficult because if their budget's 500,000, that $500,000 house today is likely going to be 575, 600 in a couple of years. Especially if we are looking at what's happening with real estate here in the Metro Atlanta over the past couple of years. So yeah, I would love to help you, and you can find my information right here below this video. Eduardo's watching us from Fort Lauderdale. Thank you for joining us, and you're looking to move there soon. Well, I'm hoping that we are going to be able to be part of that journey and help you with that. And if you are thinking about making a move anywhere in Georgia or the country for that matter, I'm connected with really great real estate agents all across the country that do business at a high level and give great customer service just like me. And I'd love to make sure that you're in good hands. Okay, I have to ask you, have you seen, I don't know if y'all are on TikTok, but there was a video that had gone very, very viral and making headlines all across the nation of someone in Atlanta, and her name was Risa Tisa. That was her handle. And she was telling the story of how she married a con artist, essentially, here in the Metro Atlanta area. And the title of the series is called Who the F Did I Marry? And she's telling the story about how she met someone on a dating app right before the pandemic. They moved in and she got married. It's like 60 parts. And so it takes a couple of hours to listen to it. It's almost kind of like a podcast. But the interesting thing is that a main part of the story is that they were looking at houses with a real estate agent here in the Metro Atlanta area. And the real estate agent was going out and showing houses with this pre-approval letter that her husband had given to the real estate agent. And the real estate agent never called the lender to verify anything. And come to find out, the letter was bogus and made up. He also made a cash offer on a home, and the agent never asked for proof of funds. And it just made me think like, oh my gosh, this girl could have saved so much time and would have been alerted to these huge red flags had she been working with a really great agent. So a really great agent is going to ask you to get pre-approved with a lender, or if you've already been pre-approved with a lender they didn't connect you with, I'm going to call that lender, ask them questions just to make sure that they've done their part and that you're in good hands and that the pre-approval that you have is a true pre-approval. Because let me tell you, just like there's bad real estate agents, there's some not so good lenders out there that will give and issue a pre-approval just based on basic information that they've been given without like really gathering all the documents. Because the worst thing that can happen is that we go out, we find you a dream home that you really love, get it under contract, then just to come to find out that, oh, that lender wasn't very thorough and the numbers don't work like you wanted them to. So yeah, Trisha's saying that her husband was a pathological liar. And so he was made up this pre-approval letter, lied about having money, but that real estate agent could have saved them so much time if they would have had a good real estate agent. So I was like, I want to find out who that first real estate agent was, because they ended up having two and the second one knew. But yeah, so a good warning for you out there. And if you haven't watched it on TikTok, it is very, very entertaining and it is good. Alan says, is there a way to find out if an abandoned home in Swanee is or will go for sale? It's just sitting there and would like to see if they would want to sell. Wonder why they just sit there. Good question. It could be, it could already be in the foreclosure process, and the foreclosure process with a bank can take years. And so that's really, really frustrating. It could just be owned by a family member or an old rental house that someone has, and they don't, maybe they would sell it, with the right offer. So, reach out to me, Alan. I can help do some preliminary stuff behind the scenes and maybe help put you in contact or give you the information for the seller, or reach out or see if I can find out. Sell me on Georgia. I'll wait since you said you like a challenge. This whole channel should be selling you on Georgia. That's the purpose of making these videos, is to give you all the information that you need to know about making a move here to Georgia. And hopefully what you see is what you like, because let me tell you, we've helped a ton of people make the move here to the Metro Atlanta area and to Georgia. Knock on wood. We have not yet had one person move here and not have said that they just absolutely love it. So obviously, got to do your research. And I'm sure equally people have watched the channel and been like, that doesn't seem like it's for me. And then they don't move here. But yeah, I'm hoping that the information that we provide is very valuable and helps you make an informed decision. We have a lot of great clients that will come for an exploratory visit, drive around, stay the week or the weekend, see if they can see themselves living here. And that's a great way to kind of test it out to see if it lives up to your expectations. All right. Well, everyone, thank you so, so much for joining me tonight on the live stream. Before we go, I want to tell you about one other thing that was kind of big in coming that has been talked about for the past 6 months to a year. And there's been some updates on that. So let me share my screen. So in South Forsyth, there is a proposed development called the Gathering. And although it's in South Forsyth, it's just south of Cumming. And this is going to be a huge development with an Alpharetta address. And so if you haven't seen me talk about this before, this is a huge, huge, huge outdoor work, play, shop center. And they're wanting to build an arena with the goal of attracting an NHL team. Now, it's gone through a lot of different processes and it still hasn't been like finally approved. But Forsyth County told the developers of the Gathering that they will only contribute taxpayer money if they can sign an NHL team to come to North Metro Atlanta. So this article goes on to state that this $390 million is not going to come directly from taxpayers, but it'll come through the issuance of bonds, and then it's going to be paid back from the team and ticket sales and things like that. But this would be a huge thing for the North Metro Atlanta area. Now, if you've been to Atlanta or if you've been to a Braves game, the new stadium over in Marietta has a big, huge outdoor retail space called the Battery. And it's so much fun to go there because it's a really, really cool atmosphere. It's kind of like a outdoor shopping mall area. And then you're like right there at the stadium and you just walk right in. And so it's very popular for people to go and spend the day there before a game and eat and drink and hang out. And there's lots of great activities for kids and stuff like that. And then you just go to the game. Or you don't even have to go to the game, but you're part of the atmosphere and you can hear what's going on inside the stadium. So they're looking to kind of mimic that, the Battery, here in Cumming with the Gathering. And so there's been a lot of steps and things that have happening to make this happen. Forsyth County commissioners have taken their second trip to meet with NHL officials to plan more, but the NHL has not committed to bringing a team here to Metro Atlanta. So this will be very, very interesting to see if this does get approval, and makes it way to have it happen, because that area is already experiencing a ton of growth. But this would make a great entertainment venue space that you don't have to drive that far to. So there's lots of great, cities around that you can live within a 30-45 minute distance. Whereas right now, like if you wanted to go, if you lived like in the Metro Atlanta areas that I cover and you wanted to go to a Falcons game or an Atlanta United game, you're looking at a good solid hour to get there. And sometimes with traffic getting over to Marietta for a baseball game, watching the Braves, you could also be in traffic for an hour and 15 minutes. And sometimes that just makes it a little bit more difficult or stressful to get there and enjoy it. So having something like this would be so much fun. And so not only would they host NHL teams, but they would also have concerts and things like that they would bring in regularly. So that is something to be on the lookout for. Cumming is already getting expensive with home prices, and this will only cause things to go up much more. So I would strongly encourage you that if you're considering coming, but you're a little bit scared off by the prices or you're worried about home price appreciation, rest assured that there's lots of growth and development happening there. And I don't feel like this is something that you should be concerned with. Alan says, thoughts on Atlanta hosting a few of the 2026 World Cup. How will the city prepare? What may they introduce? Good question. So, I imagine that there's going to be a lot of maybe temporary home rentals and things like that to kind of host all the people that are going to be in town for short-term rentals, and hotels are going to be full and stuff like that. But yeah, it'll be fun to kind of see what the city rolls out and the events and the things like that over the next couple of years as they plan for that. Another exciting thing that you may not think is very exciting, but here in this area, we think is really exciting. And that is the fact that, hang on, again, I need my producer behind the scenes, that there may be a Trader Joe's coming to Cumming. So currently right now in the North Metro Atlanta area, if you want to go to Trader Joe's, you have to go into Peachtree Corners, which give you a frame of reference. If you live in Buford, you're driving at least 35 to 40 minutes to get to Trader Joe's. Or if you live kind of like in Alpharetta Cumming area, you can drive down to one kind of like in Sandy Springs-ish area. And again, you're looking at a good 30 to 40-minute drive, which is no fun. But they have it, and they've announced that Trader Joe's is coming to the North Alpharetta area, and they haven't announced the location yet, but there's a lot of speculation that Trader Joe's is going to be at the outdoor shopping center of Halcyon. And I thought I had a article about this, but I guess I closed out the tab. So my apologies. But this is super exciting. And the reason that everyone thinks that it's Halcyon is because they haven't announced the grocery store retailer, but it's supposed to be a high-end grocery store retailer opening there, along with a new Chick-fil-A, Five Guys, and a few other restaurants. So that's already under construction. And yeah, everyone is pretty sure that it's Trader Joe's because Trader Joe's has announced that they're coming. They just haven't announced the location, but that is super, super exciting. So if you're living in Cumming, Alpharetta, you are about to have a Trader Joe's so close to you. So unfortunately, it's still going to be a little bit of a drive for me, and I have to go stock up on all my great Trader Joe's finds. So let me know what your favorite Trader Joe's items are and what I need to get. But a must-have for me every time I go is to stock up on the frozen croissants. Anybody else a fan of those? Side story, my aunt for the past couple of years as a great Christmas gift has given us these great chocolate croissants from Williams Sonoma. I look forward to it every Christmas. We get like a box of 20 frozen chocolate croissants from Williams Sonoma on dry ice. They're kind of pricey and expensive. And someone told me about the croissants from Trader Joe's, and you can get like 4 in a box for like $5. So super cheap. You do have to thaw them out overnight, which is kind of a pain because you got to plan ahead. Um, but you thaw them out and they like rise and puff up, and then you bake them. Y'all, they're so good. And they're just as good as the Williams Sonoma one for like a fourth of the price. So I haven't told my aunt yet that the Trader Joe's ones are just as good, if not better, than the Williams Sonoma one, but I'm glad that I can get them anytime I want. And so if you haven't had them, please go get them. Lone One is telling me to try the turkey meatballs. I'll have to do that. I have tried the orange chicken that everyone loves that's in the frozen section, and the fried rice, also really, really great. So yeah, I always love discovering new foods, as you can tell. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If there is a question that I have not gotten to, or if you want to talk one-on-one, please reach out to me. I love helping people make the move here and being a great resource for you. So you can find my contact information below. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do that. It helps me reach other people just like you that may be thinking about making a move, and you get alerted to every time we post a new video, which is every single Monday. You're going to get an alert for a new video educating you about the Metro Atlanta area, the market, neighborhoods, cities, everything that you need to know. So thank you so much for spending your time with me. We do the live stream here the first and third Wednesday of every single month. So I am looking forward to helping you. The name of the restaurant is Pigtails, P-I-G. That is the name of the restaurant. There's also their sister restaurant on Lake Lanier called Fish Tales, which Fish Tales focuses on more seafood related items. Pigtails kind of like more burgers and a little bit of barbecue flavored ish, like wraps and stuff like that. A little bit more casual, but super great food. So try it out. All right. Y'all have a great evening, and I look forward to seeing you or talking to you in the near future. Bye.